With the Championship season kicking off in less than 2 weeks, I think today is no better time to start our Championship predictions and who I think will be relegated, promoted to the Premier League and who I think will finish a comfortable mid-table. Now don't get me wrong, this video will be quite controversial because at the end of the day, we all want our team to do better than what's predicted. But I hope you can enjoy and I hope some of them we agree with, and if you don't, let me know in the comments what you think will happen to your club and if you agree with my prediction. I'd like to start this video not in alphabetical order, but from 24th through the relegation ranks, to the mid-tables, to the playoff spots, and then who I think will get automatic promotion. And in 24th place and at rock bottom, I do think it will be Rotherham. Now, Rotherham I respect quite highly. They're a very sensible club financially, but the problem is they let go players on a free. Chiedozie Ogbene, their best player last season, 12 goal contributions, has left to Luton on a free, and I think that leaves a massive hole in their attack. Also departing the club is captain Richard Wood. I know he's getting on a bit, but he was a fantastic player. As well as Wes Harding, who's gone to Millwall on an undisclosed fee. Now, the problem with Rotherham is they don't have enough quality to stay up. I think the best player is Victor Johansson, the goalkeeper. But with goalkeepers, you can make clean sheets every game, but if you're going to draw 0-0, you're still going to get relegated. I wish them all the best, and to be honest, I hope they don't get relegated, but there's that much quality in the Championship, I think it'll be difficult for them to stay up. In 23rd position, I have gone for Plymouth Argyle. Now, Plymouth are a fantastic club, and I respect them massively. What they did last season, getting promoted, was fantastic, but I do think they lack Championship quality. Now, their main two summer signings have been Barley Mumba, who was on loan last season from Norwich, and Morgan Whittaker, who was on loan from Swansea. Now, the problem with them, although they come from Championship clubs, is they do lack Championship experience, and I think you need a lot of Championship experience to stay up for the first season when you are coming up from League One. Now, another thing to note is last season, a lot of their games ended 1-0 or 2-1 or 3-2. It was small margins. Can they replicate that against Championship clubs? I don't think so, and I think it will be a struggle. But there is a chance. Schumacher's a fantastic manager, and I do wish them all the best for the upcoming season. In 22nd position, and the final team I believe will be relegated from the Championship, is Queen's Park Rangers. Now, it hasn't been Queen's Park Rangers' year. Last season was a mess, and now in the summer they've lost their sporting director, their club captain Johansson, and they've appointed Gareth Ainsworth as their manager. Now, my judgment for QPR going down is a massive decline in results. At one point last season, they were battling for automatic promotion and certainly playoffs, and then they just lost loads of games, 6-1 to Blackpool, just been a massive decline down the table, and at one point near the end of the season, they were just mere points off relegation. I think this year is the year they go down. They've lost a lot of players. Chris Willock is linked to a move to Rangers. Ilias Chair is linked to a move away, and I don't think it'll be long until they've lost a lot of their key players and down fighting at the scraps. In 21st position, and a team I think will just stay up by the grit of their teeth, is Sheffield Wednesday. Now, don't get me wrong, Sheffield Wednesday fans, I know this prediction may annoy you, but after watching the second leg, I did think they'd do fantastic, and winning the playoff finals was just incredible. I'm a big fan of Barry Bannon, but I think this season hasn't started off well. To start with, they sacked Darren Moore due to payments. He wanted a lot more and they just couldn't afford it. And also the recruitment hasn't been there. At one stage, they did have only 14 senior players in the squad. I think they'll start off well because they'll have that bounce of being promoted. The aura around the club is fantastic at the moment, but I think whilst we get to mid-season, I think the results will drop off, and I do think they will hit around the 21st mark. In 20th position, another Yorkshire club I think will do half decent but just about stay up. It's Huddersfield Town. Now, I think the major factor for Huddersfield is Neil Warnock. I don't think they'll have a high place finish, but I think he'll just about keep them up. He's a fantastic guy, really funny, and he has got the ability to keep any team up in the Championship. Last season, they spent the majority of the year in 24th, looking like it was just about any day they'd get relegated, and somehow he's kept them up. A win over Sheffield United confirmed that, and what an atmosphere that was. I was at the game and it was something special. I do think they will lose a few key players. For example, Sorba Thomas is already expected to leave. I mean, he was last season on loan to Blackburn Rovers. I think he will go to another Championship club. But they do have a few stars. For example, Jack Rodoni, who I think will help the Terriers keep themselves to safety and possibly in a few seasons get to the playoffs once again. Now, from all the prediction videos I've seen, this club always is in the bottom three. And I think it's a bit unfair to say that this season because of some of the transfer they've made, and that is Cardiff City. Now, from what I've read and what I've seen, the fans are absolutely buzzing for the season to start. To start off with, they've just signed Aaron Ramsey on a free. Only a few years ago, he was playing for Rangers in a Europa League final. He's played for Arsenal and he's a fantastic footballer. And the good thing is, they've managed to keep a lot of their squad from last season's survival season. So for me, I don't think they will get mid-table, but I do think they'll have a comfortable finish and will just about stay up. Being reasonable, if you ask any Cardiff City fan last season whether they would take comfortable survival this season, I think they'd snap your hand off for it. And I know a few people have been saying playoff pushing coming, but I think 19th won't be too bad. Build upon it in January, maybe buy a few players and then look to push up to the start of the mid-table range. Now from here to about 10th place, I think all have the quality to push to the playoffs. But the only problem is how competitive this championship is. In 18th place, I've gone for Birmingham City. Now, Birmingham have had quite a decent transfer window. Ethan Laird, Patrick Roberts, some fantastic players, all funded by Tahith Chong's move to Luton. But, for example, Hull City, signing players that don't fit the manager's style doesn't get you fair. I mean, we signed about 10 players, all very decent from the Turkish First Division and ended up in 16th. So, hopefully Birmingham do well, but I don't think this year will be the year they push for playoffs. In 17th position, I have gone for Bristol City. Now, I think it's difficult for Bristol. I do think they're a fantastic club and they have got some incredible youngsters. So I do think it'll be 3 or 4 seasons until they gradually get up to that playoff spot. I think a comfortable mid-table, low-end finish will do them okay this season, but I think it's more depending on what they do with Alex Scott. Now, that main man is fantastic and has linked himself to a move to Wolves in the Premier League. But Bristol want about 25 million for him, and I think that is a little bit unreasonable. But then again, he is a fantastic player and vital. At the end of the day, Declan Rice isn't worth 105 million, but he is to West Ham. Now, it depends what they do with that money. They could keep him and do well, or they can get the 25 million and spend it on crap, or they could spend it reasonably and do fantastic and go on to have a great season. I think that's where my prediction lies on current events. I think they haven't had a good transfer window so far. They've lost one of their best left-backs, Jada Silva, I'm afraid, to Coventry. So it all depends what they do with the money and what they do in the final few weeks of the transfer window. 16th position then, I have gone for Stoke City. Now, Stoke City have had a fantastic transfer window. Kiana, however, back on loan. Jaquinho on loan as well from Wolves. And they have got the imminent announcement of Mark Travers from Bournemouth. I think, though, it is more of a long-term project. They are on the up. But what can Alex Neil do this season? I think more of a mid-table, comfortable finish. Now, I must admit, the next one is very controversial on my behalf. 15th place, I have gone for Blackburn Rovers. Now, first of all, I'm a big fan of Blackburn. I love the fans. I think it's a very well-run club. But I do think a mid-table finish is what's on the cards today. For me, the reason why they are so low is because they got rid of Ben Berriton Diaz on a free. They could have got 20, 30 million for him last season, but they kept him. Hasn't done great last season and then got him on a free to Villarreal. I do think, though, they have got a few quality players like Tyrese Dolan and Sammy Smodics, but without that main powerhouse up front, I think they will struggle this season for goals and therefore hit 15th or maybe around the mid-table mark. 14th then, and I'm going to go for Preston North End. Now, Preston were definitely the dark horses last season. They did very well, and it was only until the last couple of games where they didn't manage to make playoffs. But I think the main reason they got that far was because of the loanees and the exceptional performances from Tom Cannon and, of course, Alvaro Fernandez on loan from Man United. This season, they haven't made as much progress with transfers. They have got Calvin Ramsey on loan from Liverpool, who I think is a quality right-back, but I don't know if they have the competition to compete against some of the Championship players this season. Now, they have made 2 permanent transfers, but I'm a bit confused why. They've got Will Keane and Dwayne Holmes. Now, they're the sort of players you sign when you're looking for a relegation scrap and trying to get out of the relegation battle. Not a team that was so close to the playoffs last season. I think they're good players, but there's even better ones out there that you can possibly go for with the budget. I know they might not have a big budget, but you can work smart like Luton did. They're the lowest one in the Championship, and look where they are at the moment. In 13th position, and it might come as a surprise, I have got West Bromwich Albion. Now, in terms of the pitch, they're a very good team, very strong, and could be up there for the playoffs. But if you knew what was going on behind the scenes, you wouldn't be surprised. To start off with, they sold the best centre-back, Darragh O'Shea, to Burnley. And then what's going on behind the scenes is the fact that no money's been put into the club and they could face possible point deductions. So I wish them all the best, and they do have still some quality players, Brandon Thomas Asante, and of course they've got Carlos Corberán as manager, who's up there with some of the best ones in the Championship. I wish them all the best. I hope that's not the case. I hope they get playoffs, but at the end of the day, it is a very competitive league, and with points deductions, we don't know what could happen. In 12th place, I have got Swansea City. Now, Swansea did quite well last season, but the problem is this year is they've lost a lot of their key players. Ryan Manning on a free has gone to Southampton, Joel Latabodiere has gone to Coventry, and there is a lot of rumours that Joel Perreault, their star man up front, will be leaving to Leicester for 20 million. We'll talk about Leicester in a minute, but 20 million spending when you're a championship is just crazy. I do think we'll be up there for the majority of the season, but when you lost a lot of key players, especially on a free, I don't know who they can replace at left back, centre back and striker. But I do wish them all the best. I think they're a very nice club, but it's just a long way to get there for an away day, especially when you lose 3-0. In 11th place and the first team out of the two from Suffolk, I have gone for Norwich City. Now, I do feel bad for Norwich. I think they are a fantastic club, but the title's sort of been stripped away from them. I mean, when they went relegated last season, we all thought they'd be straight back up, breaking records, and that just hasn't been the case. This season, they've lost Timo Pukki, and they've replaced him with an older and much more experienced Ashley Barnes. But can Ashley Barnes and the players like the Jack Stacey that signed, can they still cut it out in the Championship? They took the route of buying more older and experienced players, and that can't always work. I know Huddersfield did it last season, and they were struggling quite a bit when they signed players like Tom Lowton. But hey-ho, at the end of the day, Ashley Barnes could still be his normal self and score 30 goals next season. We don't know. But I think 11th place is about right from last season's 13th. They've improved. In 10th place, and the second of two Suffolk teams, we have got Ipswich. Now, sorry Norwich fans, but I do think that your local rivals will just be above you. Now, I think Ipswich going into this season are going to be the dark horses. They've got McKenna as manager, and the amount of confidence a lot of the Ipswich fans and the players have in him is just immeasurable. I think they'll start the season off fast, quick, and beat teams who are just getting prepared for the season. First couple of games, they'll be there and you'll know about them. I think they have the opportunity to push a playoffs, but with the quality, as I've said so many times, there's just so many good teams in the Championship. But I do think Ipswich will do exceptionally well. A player that you need to look out for this season is the wonder kid himself, Amari Hutchinson, on loan to Ipswich from Chelsea. Chelsea bought him from Arsenal last season and got a lot of potential and think a lot about him. So I think we have to work out what we're going to do when we're trying to defend against him. He's got the pace, he's got the skills, he's got the attack-minded flair. And to be honest with you, it looks like he's going to be the next Nathan Tella in terms of loanees to the Championship. I wish him all the best, and I wish Ipswich all the best, and that's why I think they'll be hitting mid-table. In 9th place, I have gone for the Hornets, Watford FC. Now, when I say they struggled last season, that would be an understatement. 11th place in the Championship, whilst having the biggest and the most valuable squad, is just crazy. I don't know whether it's something going on behind the scenes, the management, or it's just the players not giving it everything. But I do think they will improve slightly. Not enough to get playoffs, but I do think they'll improve in that factor. They have got about 40-50 million from Ismail Assar going to Marseille and João Pedro going to Brighton. So hopefully if they invest that well, they can start to look forward and sort themselves out ahead of this season. In 8th position, I have got my team, Hull City. Now, don't get me wrong, this is coming from a biased opinion, but I do genuinely think we will do decent this year. I don't think we'll get playoffs like a lot of Hull City fans expected, but I do think we will come a comfortable top 10 finish. Now, the reason I do think this is Liam Rosenior is one of the best managers I've seen for Hull City. He's got the work ethic and he's going to drive the players to the maximum potential. And with the signings of Liam Delap on loan, Ruben Vinagre, Jason Lakilo, linked to so many good players, as long as we get a defender and a goalkeeper sorted out, I can't see why we can't finish among the ranks of these Swansea, Watford and Norwich teams. I hope we can do well. But at the end of the day, right, we've just drawn 1-1 to National League Northside Scunthorpe. Anything could happen. In 7th position, I have gone for Millwall. Just missing out on the playoffs, and I think it will be a repeat of last season. Now, they're a very good team. I would love to see them in the Premier League competing against West Ham once again. But with the competition of this season, I think it will be a struggle. Now, if they can keep Zian Fleming and Tom Bradshaw for the next 2 seasons, I have no doubt in my mind they will be up there and possibly get the playoffs in the season to come. But the next 6 are just another level. In 6th place and just sneaking into that playoff spot, I have gone for the team that sadly lost in the playoff final last year, Coventry City. Now, this sounds daft, but I do believe that it's one player who decides the fate of the club. It's Gustavo Hamer. He has got the influential to go on and drive Coventry to the playoffs. And if he does leave, then I do think they'll slip down to mid-table. I know this sounds daft. They have signed Ellie Sims and Joel Latabodiere, but Gustavo Hamer is something special. He has to stay if Coventry want to fight for promotion. That may sound daft because football is not a one-man team, but he is very, very good. In 5th place, I have gone for the Mackem Sunderland FC, one of my favourite clubs outside of my own team, Hull City. I do think they'll do very well. Now, they average 40,000 attendance every game for a league game. That is just fantastic. They have got the abilities, and now last season, the average age of the squad was about 23, 24, where this season it's 24, 25. They're hitting the peak, and I think this season is the chance they go up. And that's why I believe that they will win the playoffs at 4th place and go up to the Premier League. They've got some outstanding players, and if they can keep Jack Clark, Patrick Roberts and Ross Stewart, they are up there. They just need to sign 1 or 2 players on loan, like that Amad Diallo last season, and I'm telling you now, they are going to be in the Premier League. In 4th position, we have gone for Hull's biggest rivals, Leeds United. Now, I'll just clarify, Leeds United fans don't give a toss about Hull. It's just a one-way rivalry. But hey-ho, at the end of the day, Hull City dislike Leeds, Leeds United, I suppose they dislike Hull, but it's not a big rivalry. But that's beside the point. The point is I think they will do decent this year. I think they'll get to the playoff final, but I think they will lose to Sunderland. Now, if they're able to keep their main players, like Wilfred Nonto, Max Wober, Jack Harrison, Patrick Bamford, then they should be able to storm the league. But I just have doubts that they will keep them players. They've lost a lot of key players already, including Rodrigo, who's gone to Saudi Arabia. And I think it will be a few academy players that will start this season. But you never know. At the end of the day, right, they'll have, what, 70 million parachute payments, so they should be all right. But I do think there's teams above them that will still do better. In 3rd position, and just missing out on automatic promotion, I have gone for newly relegated team Southampton. Now, Southampton, I respect massively. I think they've got great fans, and I think the stadium is fantastic. And I do feel bad for them that they got relegated. It was a long time coming, and they just couldn't compete against what was a fantastic Premier League season last year. But they do have about 75 million in parachute payments. They've just signed Ryan Manning. They may keep James Ward-Prowse, and they will get at least 50 million for Romeo Lavia. So promotion is definitely on the cards. I just think that the teams 2 above them are fantastic and deserve to be automatics. Now, I don't know whether they will keep James Ward-Prowse, but if they do, then definitely automatics. But I based it on what I think will happen, and I do think he will leave to go to a bigger and better Premier League club. So, 2 teams remain, 2 teams who I believe will get automatic promotion to the Premier League. And first, in 2nd place, we're going to go for the kindest fans that I've come across in a matchday vlog, and that is Middlesbrough. Now, they do deserve it. Let's be honest. They've missed out on promotion twice in a row now, both coming from a defeat, one on penalties, one to a Gustavo Hamer strike in the playoff semi-finals. This is the year Borough are going to get promoted. They're going to keep Chuba Akpom, and I believe he will get another fantastic record this year. I think he'll get maybe 35, 40 goals in the Championship. He's an incredible player, and from what he's gone through, you know, being left to the under-21s to helping them get to a playoff semi-final, I think he's incredible. And I do think, Borough, this is your year. Hopefully, it is via automatics, but if not, playoffs, it definitely is. But I've got you down as 2nd, because first is a team that, well, who else could it really be? In 1st place, then, and who I think will be crowned the champions of the Championship, who else could it really be? Leicester City. Now, there should be some sort of law against spending absolute bucket tons of money in the Championship, because it just makes it unfair. But Leicester have spent 25 million already on Connor Cody, who was playing for England a couple of months ago, Harry Winks, who was playing in a Champions League final years ago, and then the link to players like Amad Diallo, Hannibal Medjbury and Joel Perot for 20 million. That could be already 50 million spent in the Championship when Luton Town spent only mere millions. I think they will absolutely break every record there is in the Championship, beating Reading's record and probably in the quickest time possible. I think they're a fantastic club, brilliant fans, deserve to be in the Premier League. I mean, they won the Premier League only 7 years ago. I wish them all the best. They're going to keep Jamie Vardy, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall and James Justin. I mean, what else can you predict? It's like Watford against Man City. It's always going to be an absolute battering. And for Leicester, I think they will storm the league and they will be on fire. Well, there it is, my 2023-24 Championship predictions in full. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll probably get 22 out of 24 wrong, but what counts is we all have a fantastic season and we all get where our club wants to be. Now, first of all, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please like, subscribe and turn on notifications. That would really mean so much. I'd also like to thank my mother behind the camera. She's been holding it like that still for the last 4 hours because it takes me ages to do my takes. So, Mother, do you have any inspirational words?
No.
Well, there you go. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And keep positive, and I will see you all in the next video. Hopefully, we can have a good championship season, very competitive, and I wish you all the best. Up the Tigers, and all the best for the rest of the season.